Playlist reported some fun news from a Q&A this weekend with Ryan Reynolds and Deadpool writers Paul Wernick and Rhett Reese. Turns out Fox was able to strike a deal with Marvel Studios for the rights to Negasonic Teenage Warhead for Deadpool, and Marvel, in exchange, got Ego the Living Planet, who'll be played by Kurt Russell in Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. Wow! Could all this enthusiastic back and forth dealing mean the X-Men may one day play with their Avengers peers on screen? Could this already be in the works? With all that in mind, we gathered a panel of experts to talk about how they'd like to see an X-Men and MCU team-up go down.
All right, welcome back, guys. Hey, everybody, this is Screen Junkies News. I'm your host, Hector Navarro. And like we do every single day here on Screen Junkies News, we assemble the most qualified people on Earth to talk about whatever it is that we're talking about. And that is no different today. Okay, we're talking about the X-Men possibly being incorporated into the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And our panel is qualified. I'm going to start over to my far left, introduce our panel, Mr. Mark Andreyko, comic book writer extraordinaire. Thank you so much for being here, Mark.
My pleasure.
We have got from Chickbait on YouTube, Chickbait, and Screen Junkies News writer Charlie Feldman is here. Charlie, thanks for being here.
Hi. I mean, we are kind of clickbaity, so.
Chickbaity.
I like the pun.
Yeah.
He's an actor. He's a huge Marvel fan, host of Marvel Movie News. Mr. Coy Jandro is here. Coy.
So excited.
So excited. Okay, guys, let's just get into it. Let's start with you, Coy. Let's get into it. Let's talk about what are some potential ways for Fox's X-Men characters to blend over, merge over, or just hop over into the Marvel Cinematic Universe. What do you got for us?
Now, Old Man Logan is, I think, the end of the Fox era mutant world. And I think that's a smart move for any reasons because it looks like the best of the Fox world. They're making an R-rated, Mad Max, future dystopian, but not too... The trailer looks like a movie. Like, you watch that movie, and if they hadn't said mutants, I'd be like, oh, what an amazing Hugh Jackman Oscar
It's
vehicle.
a story, it's a character piece,
and
it's
it looks powerful. It looks strong. Now, in this movie, they introduce a little character named X-23, who in the comics is basically Wolverine. She is Wolverine in all sense of the word. It's her title, it's her character, that's who she is, and she's a brilliant character. She's got pathos, she's got a lot of backstory. She's actually already had a few retcons because she's so dense of a character. This character could be the way they introduce the next wave of X-Men in general. All these movies always lean into Wolverine. All these movies always shape their story around Wolverine. What if you have X-23 as Wolverine be your through line to introduce the entire next wave of X-Men? You do the all-new X-Men storyline, either time travel or no. You can either lean into that or lean away from it, but you have her be the pulse of the new team of X-Men, and that way Fox gets their toys. We finally get a female superhero that is worthy of a flagship role, and you have a character that girls can identify with that's her age. She's a young teen girl that's seen some shit and still comes out fighting, and all she cares about is justice, doing what's right, and she's got enough backstory that the X-Men will have a place to go.
Absolutely. So
and I think that's how.
Is it a separate universe that she's popping over into the Marvel Cinematic Universe? Is it just like now she's in the MCU and we're not going to talk about it, and going forward every mutant character is going to be introduced through her? How's that going to work logistically?
Now, my next pitch is Doctor Strange related, so my dimension, we'll get to that, but this is my lead up into that, and I think you do it very specifically with what they've left us with in both the MCU and the Fox universe.
Focus on X-23. I love it. Okay, Charlie, you got a take. What is it?
Okay, so this one is based off a hilarious typo, or hilarious depending on how you feel about this, but allegedly around Comic-Con this year, the name of Legion pops up at Marvel.com to explain who's coming up in the MCU. So probably a typo because they're working on Legion for TV. It's an FX show that's coming up. Really crazy cast. Aubrey Plaza, for some reason, is in it. Well done, Aubrey. And Bill Irwin, who's also a good actor.
The teaser for it looks fantastic.
Teaser looks really
defies my expectations. Like, oh, that looks really, that's Legion? Wow.
And I think it's going to be really interesting to see what they do with mental illness, since he does have dissociative identity disorder or schizophrenia, depending. I'm not sure exactly how they're framing it. But here's an Omega-level mutant. He has the ability to shape reality. He's extremely powerful, and I'm sort of cheating here because my other pick is also very much changing reality. But I think he's such a powerful character, and it would be such a nice thing to bridge the Marvel television universe and the Marvel Cinematic Universe, which hasn't really been done yet. They can't even really say the names, right, on Netflix. They can just be like, the green guy.
The incident.
Right.
Yes, yeah.
So wouldn't it be nice to have this solid bridge and have it be this really complicated character?
Yeah, that sounds great. So again, logistically speaking, he is literally changing reality so that the Legion TV show that's on FX is now part of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and then through that we can introduce new mutant characters.
Everybody.
Okay.
You can introduce everybody that way.
Awesome. All right, Mark Andreyko, you're a comic book expert. What's your take?
Well, my first one is Onslaught.
Yeah.
My first one would be at the end of the next Avengers epic when they defeat Thanos or whatever happens to Thanos, that the Infinity Gems scatter throughout time and space, and both Magneto and Professor X find the reality gem
In their universe.
in their universe, and when they try to read into it or whatever, they merge and they form Onslaught and they tear a hole in reality into the mainstream Marvel Cinematic Universe. Ooh. So you have the Avengers and the X-Men, all that stuff. And what's great about something like a reality gem, at the end of that movie, if Fox and Marvel make nice, you can do a soft reboot. And I would also include the Fantastic Four in this if possible.
Yes.
I would do the whole kind of do Heroes Reborn. Great.
Great, yeah.
There was some good stuff in it, but
Yeah.
I'm not going to be mean and name names. But do that thing where the Fantastic Four and the X-Men come into the Marvel Universe with Magneto and Professor X, and then also too with them being Onslaught, at the end of that you can kill Magneto and Professor X because we've seen more than enough of them in the X-Men franchise, and have them all there, have the X-Men all there, and you have the universe, and it's sort of a cheat with time and reality, but it's also conceptually sound within what has been done in the Marvel Universe, and it allows you to bring them in.
It's drawing from the comics. I mean, that whole thing, Onslaught, the Heroes Reborn, that was Marvel's sort of attempt at a soft reboot. They didn't want to reboot everything. The X-Men franchise was solid, but they're like Fantastic Four, Avengers, Captain America, Thor, this stuff isn't selling. Let's kind of do a soft reboot.
And imagine Tony Stark and Reed Richards and Cyclops all talking about how to fix
The wonders they
this
do.
character. I mean, you'd have to recast the Fantastic Four movie, but
Yes,
but
please.
with you get a really great actor. You get George Clooney. Throw a bunch of money at George Clooney and have him come over and play Mr. Fantastic.
Thank you. Sorry, Miles Teller. All right, knock that guy down a peg.
Zac Efron for Human Torch.
Yeah.
He'd be great, actually.
Right? Can you
Zac
imagine?
Efron
He'd
would
be
be great as
perfect
the
Johnny
Human Torch.
Storm. Like, he
Absolutely.
walks around like
absolutely.
that's-
Is this too weird? The Rock is the thing? Is that too weird?
No,
No,
not
that
at
Charm
all.
Man,
Not at
Right?
all about it.
No, and
Blue
he's
eyes.
big enough that you could do practical effects on
Yes.
him,
Oh.
which would be lovely to see because practical effects I think are going to be coming back because when we see them in movies, like that exists in space. Oh, there's an actual set there. The actors act differently. Even the best actors on green screen act differently when they have real props in front of them.
Couldn't have said
Emily
better.
Blunt, Sue Storm.
Okay.
Okay, all right.
Oh,
Okay, it's okay.
I was going to say
Jessica- four. We're so close.
Jessica Chastain. I know you also don't like Jessica
I
Chastain.
don't mind Jessica Chastain. I think she's actually my problem with Jessica Chastain is she's such a chameleon that I don't know what a Jessica Chastain performance is.
But she can
she's
be
so
invisible.
immersive and so she becomes invisible. Yeah,
Right.
yeah. I don't know who would be a good. I don't know. There's so many to choose from.
Pick a blonde, any blonde.
Well, it doesn't even have to be a blonde.
That's why I like
Pick a
Emily
black
Blunt.
lady.
Like she's so
How about
she's
that?
so character.
I wouldn't have any problem with
strength
that.
to her
I
that
wouldn't have
think
any
Sue
problem with that
Storm's
at all.
missing.
I think a really underrated TV actress who I throw her name around all the time. I think if you wanted to go ethnically diverse with Sue Storm, which you absolutely could, I think Tamara Taylor from Bones would be a fantastic Sue Storm because she's a sexy woman who owns her sexuality and her femininity, but she plays smart.
Yeah.
And she's all in control. I think that would be good. It's a shame Margot Robbie is stuck, or Robbie is stuck in the DC universe. Not
It's
stuck.
a shame, yeah.
But
Yeah,
she would have been a
perfect.
great Sue
My
Storm.
heart.
She's such a good actress.
So guys, here's my take. My little quick pitch is you guys are thinking interdimensionally. I love it. I'm just thinking that Fox is going to go, "Oh, we want to make more money. And they're going to do what Sony's doing and just literally give the rights to the X-Men characters to Marvel Studios to kind of do with what they will with them. And I think that for me, a big deal is going to be recasting Logan. It's going to be recasting Wolverine because Hugh Jackman has owned that character since 2000. Love him or hate him, he has had so much enthusiasm for the role, and I think it's fantastic. And it's become so iconic for movie viewers. So my take is going to be that the next time you recast that role of Logan, Wolverine, Weapon X, whatever, is that it needs to be a big event. And for me, you go back to the comics, you do the first appearance of Wolverine where he showed up in Incredible Hulk 181. Was that it?
Well, his first appearance was one panel in Hulk 180.
180, and then the cover is him. You're dealing with the Wolverine now.
And Wendigo.
The Wendigo, exactly. So I would have the Wolverine showing up in a Hulk scene or hopefully movie if Universal lets them kind of do that sort of thing. If Marvel wants to play it that way, but I think it would be great to have Hulk in the woods, Mark Ruffalo, and then all of a sudden out of the woods comes a Wolverine actor, a new actor,
Tom Hardy.
Tom Hardy comes out
Tom Hardy.
wearing
Jinx.
sort of
Tom Hardy.
a variation on the Weapon X yellow, but it would fit in the Marvel Cinematic Universe because they kind of embrace those colorful costumes a little bit more and they make them work, they make them tactical. So that would be my pitch, and then from there, just kind of reveal that mutants have always been around, but they've been hiding, and use those kind of analogies that the X-Men are all about, and say, well, now they're sort of coming forward, and that would be Phase 4 or Phase 5 or whatever phase they want to get into to sort of hype that up. But that's my take. Coy, do you have any other ideas?
Now this ties into my X-23 thing, so I left
Okay.
it intentionally vague. So X-23 is how I'd bring the X-Men involvement, because I think she'd be a great way to start that movement. She's a strong character. She's a character that people don't actually know that well,
And again,
like the average viewer.
Like Wolverine, but still different.
Exactly.
Right.
So you have a character that bridges without being exactly Hugh Jackman, which is going to be a struggle for people, and she's already been introduced at this point in Logan. Now, the way I'd do this is in Doctor Strange, we see how many alternate universes there are. We literally have the mutants live in an alternate universe because the rights issues have kept them apart. How do you explain these characters that don't quite exist, that kind of do exist? People know X-Men or Marvel Comics. People know Scarlet
Right.
Witch and Pietro's story are convoluted. So you explain that by way of having an alternate universe featuring the Scarlet Witch we already have, but that's where we meet the X-23. So when Doctor Strange can travel through these dimensions, we then meet an entire team of X-Men already formed. They're 16 to 18. They're people that know X-23. They're people that might know Scarlet Witch. And you have the, now I know this ties into yours, this is my next tangent, you have the iconic scene of, instead of Scarlet Witch saying no more mutants, you have Doctor Strange training a Scarlet Witch and she says mutants.
Yeah.
And that word is the first time we're allowed to hear that word in Fox. So with
Yeah.
the single use of the word mutants, we open up an entire dimension that brings us the X-Men.
So Coy's talking about a classic comic book
Well, now
series.
I want to jump on yours. I want
do it.
to add something.
Can you
Pitch
imagine her saying that
session.
I
word?
want to add
Pitch-
something to your
pitch
story.
session.
We can find out that the Scarlet Witch was originally the Sorcerer Supreme of another reality. And
Yes.
she's,
Oh, that's
why
sexy.
she's crazy.
And bring in magic and
bring in
Colossus.
magic. And when she when she says mutants, we find out that either a villain or either even Professor X made a deal to protect the mutants, and by protecting them, made it.
hidden.
Because,
Some
you know,
alternate-
when you have the monkey paw, it doesn't always give you what you want. And he said, I want to do something. I want to use my powers to make mutants safe. And the only way they were safe is if people forgot they existed. So they've been there the whole time.
And as soon as she
so you
shows
do
mutants,
that, yeah, you do that scene across the world where Cyclops is, driving a school bus, and all of a sudden, boom.
Yeah.
And, Iceman is, whatever,
Yeah. And you've got your origin
Iceman's a
built in.
doctor at an ER, and he's doing the heart thing, and he ices
And now
the
you don't
guy.
have to retell all the origins because we know.
No, we
don't
know
have to
them.
go through 15 years of movies again because we're just like, oh wait, this is now Marvel's mutants.
Yeah,
and they're in the universe.
They've just been forgotten.
And we're with them.
Yeah.
You guys, this is a genius workaround, and I get that, and I like where you're going with it. But don't we deserve a House of M's movie? Don't we deserve to see her say no mutants?
Mine is
and
M of
have it-
House.
I'm a
I think
God, I switch. It's very
I
palatable.
think we need no more I think no more mutants could be good, but I think
Yeah.
I think doing the alternate realities with the House of Magneto and the House of the Inhumans and all that is so bringing the Game of Thrones sort of level of politics while you're introducing a whole new group
I think
into the
there's still a
MCU.
way to do
There's
that.
so many layers there. It would be great if we had TV shows of the quality of the Marvel movies because there's so much subtext and so much
Right.
stuff
But
there. That's a lot for a movie.
We already have this in Civil War. We already have the threat of Wanda. We already know that she has, she's apparently not an Omega level. That's where it's
Not
made. It might be
yet.
that her power isn't really her own. I don't know. I don't know what you guys are thinking out there. But we have this established that she is a threat, and we don't know how much that is. And having that already in the MCU is so seamless.
Yeah.
You can just start and introducing Magneto as her father, and
Who
I don't know
survived from
who
the
survived.
Sokovia thing, whatever.
I wonder if Quicksilver is the impetus, he dies and that's what does it, or I don't know. You might have to retcon that a bit, but it's just
Yeah.
of any of the storylines, that's the one to do, and not for nothing, it's my favorite.
I think
crossover
House of
event.
M, it's a great crossover. It's this iconic storyline that merges the X-Men and Avengers worlds because the Scarlet Witch is so pivotal to both. And it starts in this alternate universe. And again, the main character is Wolverine learning about all of his past. It's this great sort of emotional, dramatic thrust. I would love to see that movie. I would love to see them stick as close to that as possible. So I'm
Me
thinking
too.
it's possible if maybe after the universes merge, we get something like that down the line as
yeah.
opposed to
Phase
the
19.
intro movie. But even if they could intro, I mean, again, I was saying the same stuff about the Civil War comic book, and I think that the things that they sort of cherry picked from those comics to put into the film, I really enjoyed it. I thought it was a smart way to get it to work at that time when they did it. So, Mark, you've got another take on this. What else do you think can possibly make it so that the X-Men can merge into the MCU?
Both of these have similar setups because I want them to tie in directly into the MCU. If you're going to do it, you need to commit fully. You can't be
Agreed.
subtle. So I want to do a thing where wherever Thanos ends up at the end of, I'm assuming he's not going to die, if he's escaping and he's looking to, he's putting the glove back together, suddenly he feels someone looking at him and he looks up and he's just atomized, and you see a hand come in and pick up the Infinity Gauntlet, and it's Dark Phoenix.
Oh.
You have Jean Grey. Dark Phoenix is such a powerful trans-multiverse force that she sensed this object of power, and then you have that, and that opens the door between the two dimensions because she's consolidating the power. So you can consolidate those timelines. And you have the Avengers team up there. They'd be fighting the X-Men because Scott would be wanting to protect Jean and trying to save her in the
Avengers
most
versus
possible
X-Men.
way.
Yeah,
it's Avengers versus X-Men, but in a way that has real stakes. They want to kill this threat. They want to take out this rogue nuclear missile, but this is this guy's true love, and it's not her. She's a vessel for this. And that's the biggest, most epic story you've done. Marvel, the success of these superhero movies now allows us to do the Dark Phoenix Saga in the biggest way. You could bring in the Guardians, you could bring in the Kree, you could bring in the Shi'ar, you could bring in all that stuff, you could bring in the Skrulls, bring in the Fantastic Four. If Fox is gonna make the deal for the X-Men, they're gonna make it for the Fantastic Four. So you bring in the Skrulls, you show the scope, the cosmic scope of the universe with a human threat being the Dark Phoenix. But I wouldn't kill her like in the original X-Men 137. I would do what the original ending was, because I think if you're gonna introduce her, you want to do the neutering of her, have her get the cosmic lobotomy so she's just a human again. Then over the course of the franchise movies, you can have her powers come back. You can have Magneto playing chess in the park and the metal piece moves. You can have that lingering threat, because Alfred Hitchcock always said, blowing up a building will jar your audience. If you show the bomb under the table while the people are talking and the timer's going off, you're building up tension. Make her the bomb under the table. And maybe never even do Dark Phoenix again. Maybe even never come back to that. But the possibility of that lingering adds a layer of tension so through it. And I would love to see Jean Grey and Cyclops be brought to the front, because I think more than Wolverine or Professor X or Magneto, I think Cyclops is the glue of the X-Men universe. I think he's been a character that has been so ineffectively and incorrectly used for so long. I think people overthink him. I think he's an important character. He's us in the X-Men.
He's the everyman.
But does he have a fan base? Wolverine Logan has a fan base. No one shows up for Cyclops.
That's actually not true. That's actually not true. Cyclops has a very, very big fan base, but no one ever listens to them. And
including the writers apparently now.
Well, everybody has their own stories to tell. I'm not here to slam any stories or not, but I just think that the Cyclops is a character that has unlimited potential. I think he's the Dick Grayson of the DC or the Marvel universe. I think he's this character that knows everyone, that is the connective tissue, and I think, like Dick Grayson, the reason he's such a hard character to write is because Cyclops wants to make everyone happy, and when you try to please everyone else except you end up pleasing no one. And I think everybody has that people-pleasing aspect of their personality, and I think the Jean Grey Scott Summers romance is the tragic Romeo and Juliet romance. It's that epic romance that's there. I think the sacrifice is there, and I think the idea of putting the human, the emotional story as the core of the Dark Phoenix Center and extrapolating out to the special effects gives you resonance that it wouldn't have if it's just shit blowing up in front of each other.
For more Screen Junkies news, look over here. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and follow us on Twitter @SJ News. We'll see you soon.